Do you think voters see it that way? I mean, obviously it was a major issue for Biden. He's not in this race anymore because of it. They don't see Trump the same way?
No, not at all, because Trump never is intellectual about anything. Having known him for 25 years, early on in the early 2000s, you can have a legitimate conversation with him.
I mean, it comes across like that to a lot of people. We're looking at how close this race is. And, we had the town hall with Harris this week. We heard from voters saying, I want specifics from her. I want to know what my taxes are going to look like when I'm filing them in April if she's in the Oval Office.
Did Trump just call America a garbage can for the world? Mark Cuban sure thinks so, and he's not happy about it. But that's not even the craziest part of this story. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Cuban's got some wild predictions about what Trump's tariffs could do to your wallet. And let's just say, it ain't pretty. Ready to hear what the billionaire thinks about Trump's latest economic brain fart? Alright folks, let's talk about Trump's latest economic genius move, slapping a 60% tariff on Chinese goods. Now, if you're thinking, hey, that sounds like a great way to stick it to China, well, you might want to hold on to your MAGA hats because Mark Cuban's got some news for you.
I mean, this is our country. It's beautiful. We love it. I'm still part of the older generation. Love it or leave it.
The New York Times called you the most surprising surrogate for her. You're someone who's known Donald Trump for a long time. You used to actually give him political advice. And I wonder, when you describe your relationship, I was looking at this today in 2016.
And to say that we've become the garbage can is insulting to every single American. Having known him for 25 years, early on in the early 2000s, you can have a legitimate conversation with him.
Remember when Trump said China would foot the bill for these tariffs? Cuban's basically saying that's about as real as Trump's natural hair color. Spoiler alert, it ain't happening. Instead, guess who's gonna be digging deeper into their pockets? Yep, you guessed it. Good old American consumers like you and me. Now let's break this down Trump style. With some simple math, even the Donald might understand. When companies have to pay more for Chinese stuff, they're not just gonna eat those costs like Trump devours a bucket of KFC. Nope, they're gonna pass those costs right on down to us faster than Trump can tweet witch hunt. Cuban's got a zinger that'll make you spit out your coffee. He says these tariffs could make a 6-pack of beer cost more than a membership at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, can you imagine having to choose between your weekend brews and hanging out with the Orange Man himself?
When you look at your surrogacy for Harris, you've been out there stumping for her, making the argument for her. What do you make of how he was when you knew him 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and the candidate that you do see out on the campaign trail today? Do you think voters see it that way? I mean, obviously it was a major issue for Biden. He's not in this race anymore because of it. They don't see Trump the same way?
No, not at all, because Trump never is intellectual about anything. I mean, he truths about me on Truth Social, but we don't have a relationship. That's as close as we come. I haven't spoken to him since right before he left the White House.
Talk about a lose-lose situation. But it's not just your beer that's gonna cost more than Trump's legal fees. We're talking everything from iPhones to undies getting a price bump. It's like Trump's trying to make America's wallets as empty as his promises. Now, here's where it gets really juicy. Cuban's not pulling any punches when it comes to Trump's understanding of tariffs. He's basically saying Trump's grasp on economics is shakier than his relationship with the truth. In fact, Cuban's got a spicy quote for us. He asks, "Do any of you know someone who doesn't know how tariffs work? Here's a hint, that other guy," throwing some serious shade at the Donald. But wait, there's more. Cuban's not just worried about us regular folks. He's got a soft spot for small businesses too. According to him, they're getting squeezed harder than Trump's golf pants. Ouch! It's like Trump's economic policies are giving small business owners wedgies while he's out there playing another round of golf. And it's not just Cuban sounding the alarm. Other business bigwigs are joining the chorus, warning about the economic dumpster fire these tariffs could spark. It's like they're all trying to tell Trump, you're fired, when it comes to his economic know-how. Well, folks, it looks like Mark Cuban's been playing the long game when it comes to Trump watching. He's had a front row seat to the Donald show for over 25 years, and let me tell you, it's been quite the roller coaster ride. Remember way back in 2015 when Cuban thought Trump was the best thing since sliced bread in politics? Yeah, that opinion aged about as well as a banana left in the sun. At first, Cuban could actually have real conversations with Trump. You know, the kind where both people use their words and listen to each other. But as time went on, Cuban noticed Trump's ability to talk about anything more complicated than his hair started to go downhill faster than his approval ratings. Now, here's where it gets really juicy. Cuban tried to give Trump some business advice. Like a good billionaire buddy, he suggested Trump should chat with local business people, you know, the folks who actually make America's economy tick. But Trump's response?
I mean, it comes across like that to a lot of people. We're looking at how close this race is. And, you know, we had the town hall with Harris this week. We heard from voters saying, I want specifics from her. I want to know what my taxes are going to look like when I'm filing them in April if she's in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I mean, the weave is on his head and in his mouth, and it's not working. You know, he's slowed down. There's no question about it. You don't hear him talk in depth about policies at all. And so you can get by with just sound bites. You can get by with being loud and boisterous and salesy. You don't think of Donald Trump and say, that was really nuanced in what he had to say about this position or his policy.
About as warm as a polar bear's toenails. He basically said, nah, I'm good. Cuban was like, seriously? This guy's more stubborn than a toddler refusing to eat broccoli. But wait, there's more. Cuban's got his economic crystal ball out, and the forecast is scarier than Trump's hair on a windy day. He's predicting that Trump's brilliant economic plan could lead to a crisis that'll make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Cuban called Trump's tariff ideas insanity and economic suicide. Ouch. That's gotta hurt more than a failed Trump steak. And here's the real kicker. Cuban says Trump's biggest fans might be the ones getting hit hardest by his policies. It's like they're cheering for the guy who's about to pickpocket them. Talk about a plot twist. Cuban's not pulling any punches when it comes to critiquing Trump's presidential style either. He says you can't find a single instance where Trump had a nuanced conversation about, well, anything. It's all just sound bites and talking points with about as much depth as a puddle in the Sahara.
It's just now it's talking point, talking point, talking point. And I just don't see, you can see he's declined. It's just reality. Father Time is undefeated. You don't ever think of Donald Trump and think, wow, that was really an in-depth conversation he had with somebody. You can't be 78 years old and not expect some decline.
You know, Trump's plan is tariffs, which, you know,
don't work.
All right, folks, it's time to put on our thinking caps and ditch the party hats. Cuban's dropping some knowledge bombs that'll make your wallet weep. He's saying we gotta pay attention to the economic stuff that's gonna hit us where it hurts, right in the piggy bank. But here's the kicker. Cuban thinks we should stop playing political musical chairs and start looking at what these candidates are actually offering. He's got his eye on Kamala Harris, saying her economic plan might just save us from becoming a nation of coupon clippers. So while Grumpy Trumpy's busy tweeting about his hair-raising tariffs, maybe it's time we listen to the guy who actually knows how to make a buck. After all, do we really want our economy to end up like Trump's casinos, bankrupt and covered in gold paint?